Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. This is podcast number 42. Um, and it's set to be another good one. I'm joined by my two good friends here. Steph. Steph, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I couldn't be better, doing the podcast with my two favorite people. And
Hey,
Sporting is looking good, so I'm doing good.
hey, don't tell your wife that we're your two favorite people. She might get jealous. And obviously joined by Chris too. Chris, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Looking forward to it. Another good win. Not the easiest circumstances, but we got the job done. So excited.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Sporting beat Desportivo das Aves away 3-1 on Saturday, coming up against our old manager Augusto Inácio. And our starting 11 was as followed. We had Renan Ribeiro in net for about 3 minutes. We had Stefan Ristovski, Coates, Mathieu, and Acunha in defense, with Goudelli, Wendell, and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. Rafinha, Jovan Cabral also for about 3 minutes, and on the wings, and Luis Felipe up top. Steph, a crazy game. Typically Sporting, not a very stressful game. What did you think of the game, bro?
I think overall it was a good game by Sporting, even though we're down by one man at minute number 4, I believe. So for 90 something minutes. Um, and But we kept our composure. I didn't see Sporting freaking out, which was weird as fuck because I was like, "Oh my god, that's it, we doomed." But that was not the case. We actually accepted the men down pretty well. We just made a readjustment. The defense didn't change at all. We kept the same four guys in defense, and then it was a fine adjustment by the midfield. And we with that wonderful cross by Acuna when he made that play with Bruno Fernandes and Felipe Luis is proving everybody he is a great striker. Now with his head, with a great header, delicious. And then they tied again on a penalty by Luquinhas. He's fucking super fast, that kid. Um, that was a PK. And the red card to Renat was a red card as well. And I'm not saying this because we won the game, because I said that way before to a few friends of mine, Benfiquistas, admitting to them it was a PK and a red card. Um, and then, you know, another great goal by Bruno Fernandes. And this time now he shows he's got skills with his head. Amazing. Um, and we were in cruising altitude, and I wasn't freaking out. Like I was watching the game, and I was very relaxed. Sporting gave me that feeling that we had the game under control. Um, I mean, second half, let the truth be said, Avs did have more possession of the ball, but I think that's because we purposely dropped the lines and we allowed them to be that way. Because we're down one man, so it requires more physical um, compromise by the whole team, and I think that was the right call by Kaiser, because containing the pace of the game at that time of the game was the proper thing to do. So I don't think Avs created a lot of chances of goal at all whatsoever. We could have actually scored 4 or 5. I remember one clear one by Rafinha. I mean, that's what we pay him for, but he missed that goddamn goal. I was cursing him out because, damn, we pay you good money for plays like that. Score those goals. That was too easy. But he took too long to make a decision, and he gave reaction time to the goalie of Ops to react. And you can't miss those goals. Imagine if that was in the Taça de Portugal in Jamor. if he misses the goal, we're gonna eat him alive.
Yeah.
So you know, the 3-1 was actually kind of short for what we played. I would have said 4-1, and uh, I've had maybe a couple, like lethal crosses, but that's it. Nothing. Didn't miss anything in front of the goal. Salin gave me the. I was about to say Renan, but Salin gave me the a lot of confidence. I never thought, oh, Salin now our second goalie, it's going to be messy and shaky. That was not the case. It was actually very comfortable in playing the role of our goalie, of Sporting goalie, and that's it. I mean, again, Bruno Fernandes. Uh, what can I say about that guy? He won another trophy. I think it's trophy number 9 in Liga NOS. So he's going to be the MVP of Liga NOS for sure again this year. So if we sell him, I heard you guys in your last podcast. And by the way, shout out to both of you guys. You guys did great. And
Thanks, Steph.
yep. And like Chris said, if we sell him for 70 million, it's not a bad deal. It's a pretty good deal. But I think we could sell him for more. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And Chris, how about you, dude?
Yeah, obviously, we're put in a difficult situation almost immediately. And they definitely responded well. I thought that there were parts of the game that Avs were controlling the ball more. Yeah, like Steph said, they didn't really create too many clear-cut opportunities. They had some shots, some half chances, nothing really super crazy, but kind of building up maybe between minutes 30 and so it was after the Sporting goal. So we went up 1-0 around like the 25th minute. We were playing well, dominating them with 10 men. And then they kind of grew into the game more for about 10, 15 minutes. And then right before half, we scored off of that Matthew goal, kind of against the grain, to go up 2-1 again. And I think that goal was a bit against the tide of the game because Avs had just scored the PK and they were kind of growing into the game more. They were possessing the ball more. And obviously that Matthew goal was absolutely insane. That was literally some of the worst defending I've ever seen. It was like a 3-pronged fuck up because that guy drops back to the post, playing everyone onside. No, and then the Sporting players kind of advance because now this guy's now playing everyone onside because he's standing on the post. No one stays at their marks. Coates has a free header, falls right to Wendell, who's wide open, completely shanks his shot right across the front of the goal where Matthew is also unmarked and just puts it away from like 6 yards out. So that guy plays everyone onside and then they leave everyone unmarked and we score. So hilariously bad. But yeah, I mean, that goal was huge for us because if we go into half at 1-1 and then opening the second half, Avs was once again kind of on top of us again. The longer that game stayed 1-1, I think the way that Avs was playing, it could have gotten a bit hairy down the stretch. Obviously, they were playing for the tie at that point to make it 2-2. But if it was still 1-1, it would have been tough because we would have had to balance kind of looking for a winner and defending and not losing the lead. So I don't know actually what would have happened if that game stayed 1-1, all the way until when it did, when we scored again, like the 85th minute with Bruno Fernandes header. So yeah, I mean, definitely, it could have been a lot different of a story, especially if they went up 2-1. I mean, how do we respond with 10 men then? But thankfully, we don't have to worry about that scenario. It didn't happen. But I mean, Avs didn't embarrass themselves. Ignacio has them playing well. I think that they're going to survive. They've kind of, since he's taken charge, they've really turned it around. And, I mean, they didn't embarrass themselves at all. But, I mean, at the same time, Sporting really, they showed that they were the superior team, even with 10 men. It kind of reminded me when I was in high school playing soccer. Sometimes when we were scrimmaged the JV team, the JV coach would put like 15 players on the field. just to kind of like even it out, like the varsity players versus the JV players. If it was 11-on-11, we'd always smack them like 6-0. So they kind of had to just throw in more and more people. So it ended up being like 16-on-11 to make it like an even game. So yeah, 10 Sporting players is equal to 11 Avs players. And I mean, that's good to know that we're not just getting, dominated by them just because we're down in men. It just shows that, our quality is significantly better than theirs.
Yeah, agreed. And we'll just dive right into the game. Steph, as we mentioned, third minute, horrible start to the game. And then slide tackles after, a bit of confusion with Mathieu shielding the ball there. Who's at fault for that red card? Do you think it lies more with Renan that he shouldn't have slid there? It lies with Mathieu because his experience should have done better in that situation. Is it both of their fault? How do you see it, Steph?
I think it's a lack of communication between Mathieu and Renan. So to me, it's a 50-50. I mean, in that specific sample example play, me as a center back, I would have kicked out the ball. I think he trusted Renan a little bit too much, too much hesitation between them two. So yeah, it's a 50-50. Huge lack of communication. Maybe because one is Brazilian, the other one is French, and the language barrier. I have no clue. But caralho, em português a gente diz logo, é tua, caralho. Nobody's,
yeah, exactly.
So I blame both. Because Mathieu in his mind is like, oh, Renan's got it. And then Renan, you could see he's like, oh, Mathieu's got it. And then Luquinhas, hey, he did what he was supposed to do as a forward, as a very, very supersonic player. And then Renan, he had to make a foul, and that was the proper red card. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even debating that. It was a red card in a conversa, and that's it. So it's both of them. I blame both.
Yeah, agreed. And Chris, my question to you on that play is, did in your opinion, of course, did Renan have to go down in that situation, or do you think he could have done better by staying on his feet for a bit longer and maybe defending a bit? What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think that it sounds to me like Steph thinks it's more like 50-50 as far as the blame distribution. To me, I think it's more Renan. I think it's probably like 70-30 Renan to Mathieu. Because, Renan is sprinting off his goal line. So I'm assuming that the only reason Mathieu is shielding the ball is because Mathieu is yelling that he has it. Because if Mathieu wanted to just open up his hips and kick it out of bounds, he could have. He had enough time to do that. So I'm assuming the reason he didn't is because Renan was yelling at him to leave it. And then Renan kind of hesitates as he gets to the ball and tries to casually pick it up. And the guy gets his foot in there. I think if Renan just comes out and smothers the ball and slides in there on it, he easily gets there because he's literally there first. He's just in slow motion, picking the ball up. It's like there's a defender right there, dude. Just what are you doing? It's way too casual. And then obviously he panics and tries to win the ball with the slide, and it's like a terrible slide tackle. Completely doesn't get any of the ball. I mean, he doesn't get the man that much, but he nicks his ankle enough to take him down. I mean, he didn't clean him out or anything crazy. But it's obviously a foul. It's obviously a red card. I'm glad that we didn't have to. I'm glad it wasn't closer to being on the line, so we're having the conversation of is he in the box or not, because he was pretty clearly outside the box. But yeah, Renan created the mess, and then he completed the mess by fouling the guy. I don't necessarily think he had to slide there, but he was honestly just probably in a panic at that point. So he just tried to slide in. But at least if he maybe just gets his body in front of him.
Yeah, agreed, dude. And sorry.
Yeah, if he gets his body in front of him, then he can maybe delay the guy enough, even if the guy's still going to get a cross or something in, it allows people to track back and cover the goal, even if he's not going to win the ball. But if you go down, it's either you're getting it or you're not getting it. And, I mean, he could have easily completely missed the ball, but at that time, that guy's kind of being pushed away from the goal. So it's not like he has an easy finish, even if Renan, puts him off enough that he takes his touch like more towards the goal line,
Yeah, exactly, dude. Sorry if I cut you off earlier.
No, it's all good.
It's been a bit cutty here, but I think I'm back. Steph, my next question to you, you sort of brought it up. Luis Felipe is on fire. When Bas Dost, if it comes back healthy this season, hopefully, I mean, he'll come back. Do you think Luis Felipe has earned the starting spot and Bas Dost the spot on the bench, or what do you think?
Most definitely. I'm a big believer in if you're playing well, now you've earned your spot. Now it's yours. So now Bas Dost, he has to earn it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Bas Dost. I've always liked him, and I'm always going to like him, even if he leaves this summer. Hopefully he won't. But if they want to pay 20 million for this is what I hear in the Portuguese media. Then I would sell him because how old is he now? 30 something?
He's 29.
I think he's turning 30.
He's turning 30, exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, if he's turning 30 this summer, and if they want to offer 20 million, it's a no-brainer. You have to sell him. That's buku money. You keep him for one more year. I don't think they will sell him for more than that. With that said, I would only sell him if we get Slimani. I don't know if it's wishful thinking, but I'm a huge fan of Slimani as well. But not to go off the topic or your question, I would keep Luis Felipe most definitely. And he's on fire. He's been scoring goals. So if I'm the coach, I'll tell Bas Dost, hey, now you got to wait your turn because this guy is red hot. So let's say the next game we'll play away in Madeira against Nacional. So I'm going to start with Luis Felipe, and if I see him struggling, then I'll give a chance to Bas Dost. That's how I would play it out.
Fair enough. And Chris, my question to you today, or about Luis Felipe, is what did you think of his overall performance?
I mean, obviously he got the goal pretty early, and you judge. I mean, it's easy to just judge strikers off of whether or not they score or not. So if you have a completely horrible game, you're a black hole. You lose the ball every time, but you score a goal and you win 1-0. I mean, that's a good day's work at the end of the day. So I mean, I'm happy that he kept his scoring streak alive, but I mean, he wasn't fantastic. It wasn't the best game that I've seen, but yeah, I mean, I agree with Steph. He's got the hot hand, as they say. So you got to keep him in. But at the same time, you can keep him on a short leash. So yeah, you play him, and then if he's not having so good of a game, then you can take him out and put Bas Dost in. But I read today that Bas Dost is doubtful again because it's a short turnaround. We play on Friday. I read that he's doubtful again. So I mean, honestly, I don't know what's up. I think his injury it's obviously more severe than we were initially led on to believe. I mean, what is this, the 4th straight game that he's going to miss? He's been out for a month. I mean, that's not like a little, like my knee is sore. I mean, I think he might have something more serious. I mean, and at this point, it's like there's 5 games left. I mean, if he's out another month, he's out for the season, So if we're going to shut him down, let's shut him down. Let's be like a little bit more transparent about what's going on and what the injury is. Because I mean, if he misses another game, it's like, damn, like something's seriously up. So and then I think that if he's injured and he doesn't play again, I don't think that we sell him because I don't think that his performances this season, have kind of warranted that $20 million, market valuation, maybe 15 to 20. It's still a tough ask for a guy who's been out of form and who's been hurt at the very beginning of the season. He was out for like a month and a half, and then if he finishes the season out for like 2 months, it's not great to capitalize on his value. So I don't even know if it would be smart to sell him for, like 8 mil. At that point, it's like, is it even worth it? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on the situation.
Yeah, fair enough. And stuff. So in the 31st minute, another goalkeeper error, we can say, and Salant gives away a cheap penalty, in my opinion. And they convert it. It's 1-1. Well struck from Aves. So credit to them. But now my question and a bunch of other Sportingistas' question for next week is, with Renan out, do you start Salant or, do you maybe even take a risk on playing Luis Max? What do you think Kaiser's going to do, and what would you prefer him to do? If it's not what you think he should, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're all over the place, buddy, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No. Jokes aside, I would start Salah, of course, because Salah has more experience. You could tell he doesn't freak out in the stage of the competition being so high, and then it's so deep in the competition as well. We have 5 games left, if I'm not mistaken. Maximiano is not even being called as the third goalie. Which I understand why, because he's been playing for the sub 23, so they keep him active. But I would call Luis Maximiano as his backup, and I would start Salah. Now about the PK, I don't. It's easy to blame the goalie because the goalie is the one making the PK. But if you look at the play from the get-go, our number 6, Gudelj, again, he looked like the Statue of Liberty, didn't do much. We have to give credit to Luquinhas. Luquinhas is supersonic, he's super fast. But then you see, because of Gudelj not reacting, he was so fast that Coates didn't have time to react. So by the time he got into the box and then Salah saw him, he had touched the ball. The ball was going away from the goal, and that's why you didn't see a red card or even a yellow card in that matter. And then he fouled Luquinhas. He made that foul. So I don't think it's Salah's fault. It's more that why didn't we foul him on top of the box? Meaning Gudelj. That was his job to stop him right there and then. It's better to take a direct kick than let such a fast player. This player is like a futsal player. He's good with small spaces, and he proved it. In a couple plays in the counterattack, he almost killed us a couple times. But I don't blame Salah. I blame more Gudelj than anybody else. I don't think it's a surprise anyway. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, fair enough. And then just before we ended the half, we scored from a goal from Mathieu off of Bruno Fernandes free kick. Chris, my question to you is, was it a well-worked goal or at least good on awareness on our part? Or were Avs just poor? Because, they sort of created a wall just as Bruno Fernandes was lining up the free kick. And then you see one of the guys run to the line. And then Bruno Fernandes loops a ball into the box. And then sort of a scramble. Wendell either goes for a shot or something, and it finds the back of the net through Mathieu. So, again, do you think it was a well-worked goal, or do you think it was just good?
Yeah, I really don't think it's a good goal. I don't understand why Avs did that. I don't think that was like strategic or they had practiced that or anything, because no one had a clue what anyone was doing, because that guy kind of drops into the post at the last minute. Bruno Fernandes is like 40 yards out. Unless he really has a world-class Puskas-worthy winning goal, he's probably not even going to shoot. So I don't understand why they're doing that. And then as a result of that, all the Sporting players go forward, inside the 18, because there's no offsides anymore, essentially. and no one stays with their marks. And then, Coates is relatively free to win that header. And then, I really wanted Wendell to, hit the target. It's like perfect. It's like bouncing a little bit so you can get some extra power from the half volley. He completely shanks the shot, and then it goes right across the face of the goal. And there's like 3 more Sporting players unmarked, of which Matthew is one of them, and he easily tucks it away while that guy is still standing there on the post. So it was just, I don't understand why they did that, and very questionable defending. But it was great to get a goal right before half, whether or not we fully deserved it or not, but happy about it. And good to see Matthew on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, agreed. And then in the second half, less really to talk about. There was a chance that Rafinha was through on goal. Well worked from Wendell. Rafinha should have done better, but it was also a good save from the keeper. And then, of course, in the 83rd minute, Bruno Fernandes off a header scores his 28th of the season, which surpassed Frank Lampard's record for goals in a European league or in a top European league from a midfielder. Frank had 27 goals. Bruno Fernandes now has 28. So it's good to see Bruno Fernandes, as always, scoring a goal and now coming off of his head where it's normally his feet. So, showing he can really do it all. And hopefully that header adds an extra 5 to 10 million on that price we're asking for at least. But yeah, and then towards the 90th minute, Avs does score a goal, but it is disallowed from a slap on Coates from one of the Avs players. Steph, my question to you is, was that a good call? Did the referee get that right, or do you think that maybe was a soft play and Avs should have not went up, but should have scored the 3-2 there?
No, man, that's why the VAR exists. It's because of those kind of plays that most likely the referees will miss because of the angle they are exposed on the field. And clearly, in that play, you could tell that the referee didn't see it at all because the angle, the view of his, the angle view he had, he wouldn't allow him to see it. Now the VAR, when you have a million cameras with different angles, watching everything, it pays the dividends. In this case, it paid off for Sporting, but it could have been for Avs. But this time it was for Sporting. It was a proper call. It wasn't soft. It's part of the evolution. And now the coaches, they have a tougher job. They have to tell their players, stop with these silly fouls. Stop with diving. Stop with stupid fouls. Stop wasting time. Stop saying it's not a corner. Stop saying it's not a handball. It doesn't matter anymore because now there's a VAR. So you're just wasting my time. You're wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time with trying to play these silly games which doesn't matter anymore. Because the VAR will catch it, and they might get a yellow card. They might get a red card. Look at the play from the last game when our player got the red card, Litovsky, from the VAR, which we all agree shouldn't have been a red card anyway. I don't want to go back to that. But, my take on it was a proper call. I'm glad they canceled the goal because it was a foul. The midfielder from Avs, he should have been more careful. And the same applies to Sporting players. They have to be more careful. Don't make those silly fouls. The VAR is here to stay in the present and the future. So now if I'm a professional coach, now I'm telling my players, guys, we have to play differently now. Don't make these stupid fouls because it could bite us in the ass. And that's it.
Yeah. Sorry, Steph, I wasn't able to hear you. I think my internet is cutting off. Do you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess it's just a me problem then.
Yeah.
Anyways, last question really of the game. I'll ask both of you, but I'll start off with you, Chris. In the third minute when we took off René Ribeiro, we ended up being off Jovan Cabral, unfortunately for him. Do you think that was the right call by Kaiser, or were you looking for him to switch off somebody else? What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely frustrating for Jovan, I'm sure, because he finally got to start. I mean, you basically have to look at, pretty much our attacking options when you're making a swap like that. I mean, unless he wanted to take off an outside back, but I don't see why he would have done that. It was too early in the game. But yeah, I mean, so basically that leaves like Rafinha or Jovan, maybe Wendell as the potential options. And I thought Rafinha didn't really have a good game. It was one of the poor performances he's had. Sometimes he gets into like this mindset where he just kind of puts his head down and he just kind of like dribbles toward the end line, and he ends up losing the ball because he ends up attracting like 3 defenders and he's not really going anywhere. So it's just a bad situation. So that's definitely like his one like weakness, and he did it like 4 or 5 times this game. So I really didn't think it was Rafinha's best game, but I mean, there's really no way for Kaiser to know that in the 4th minute that Rafinha was going to have his worst game in like a month. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You take off the guy who, isn't really the normal starter. But yeah, it's just unlucky for Jovan. And I mean, hopefully he gets to start the next game as well, because it doesn't look like Borja's going to be quite ready yet either. So, I mean, he can keep Acuna at left back and kind of let Jovan play on the wing again.
Yeah, dude, and that's really all. Sorry, Steph. And what did you think? Do you also think Kaiser should have? Do you think it was the right call to sub off Jovan? What do you think, Steph?
Yes, because he basically didn't want to touch the defense. He wanted to leave it intact, which that was the proper call. And I know it sucks for Giovanni, but at least he knows deep inside that he did start the game, but because of the how it played out, which is out of the control of Kaiser, he had to come out. So I don't think he feels bitter about it. Maybe a little bit upset, but if anything, I'm pretty sure he's going to start next game because Borja is still hurt. I know he's feeling better, but also Rafinha, I believe that's his 5th yellow card, so he's suspended for 1 game. So Giovanni's got a good shot of starting the next game against Nacional. Hey, Danny.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. I think you're muted. I think you're muted.
No, I was switching to my hotspot because my internet was acting funny as usual. But I hear you guys perfectly fine now. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all good.
And last question I really have for the game is who's your guys' man of the match? Steph, I'll start off with you.
Can't say Bruno Fernandes because he's the MVP of every game.
That's a good point. You can say Bruno Fernandes if you really want to, but like Chris said, he is the MVP of every game. So.
No, I'm going to say Mathieu.
Mathieu? Fair enough. How about you, Chris?
I'm going to say Wendell. I thought he had a pretty good game. He was pretty lethal, switching transition, defense to attack. He pretty much created that Rafinha one-on-one with the keeper. He won the ball and dribbled like 50 yards with it and played a perfectly timed pass with Rafinha and then just kind of bottled it. I thought Wendell had a pretty good game, and I'm glad to see that he's finally performing well because I'm sure we might talk about it a bit later, but I was reading through the Sporting 200-page financial report, and it's just kind of like it's like a black hole. It's like when you get watching YouTube videos and you just end up in a black hole because you just keep clicking like suggested videos after you watch something, and then you're just like sucked into a vortex of random shit. I just kept like going through it, and it's just like a vortex of random shit. And Wendell's like one of our top 5 transfers of all time.
Yeah,
so,
it cost us like $8 million or something like that.
Yeah,
no?
he's up there. And actually, in the report, they even broke it down by like they did a section where it was like most expensive players relative to how much they've played. So it was like how much they cost per minute, basically. They broke it down to various things like per game, per minute. And Wendell was at the top, like near the top of that list, because he was expensive and hadn't really played much until this season. And obviously he didn't really play at all in the seasons before. So being at the top of the more expensive per minute list is not a place you want to be, because it means you cost a lot and you haven't played a lot. So I'm glad to see that he has completely been great this season. And, if they did that again this year, he wouldn't even be on it. But yeah, he got off that list, which is a place where you don't want to be. So yeah, he's really proving his value.
Yeah, for sure. I liked Wendell too. I'm gonna say Acuna, just because from the 3rd minute to the last, he was really working up and down that left flank, basically by himself. I know Rafinha would sort of switch sides from here every now and again, but especially in that first half, he was going up and down that wing just by himself. And I don't think we Sportingistas give enough credit to Acuna. I know he also pisses a lot of us off because he is a little hot-headed, and he should learn by now how to calm down. But aside from that, I mean, he's been, I think, apart from Bruno Fernandes, he's probably been our second or third best player this season.
Are you kidding me? I love the guy.
No, for sure. I think we all love him, but I think we also all hate on him a little bit for his temper. He throws temper tantrums on the field sometimes. I think we can all agree on that.
He was towing the line.
Yeah, exactly.
He was towing the line because he had a yellow card and he had a couple of fouls, and I was like, he's gonna get sent off.
But at this point, I understand them, because it's like every other game or every single game, there's a call against him, and it is ridiculous. He just has to laugh or he has to shout,
He had to bite his tongue a couple times. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to say something, and you see him saying something in Spanish and walking away.
Yeah, exactly. But
in Argentina, the way they play is more physical. In Portugal, I blame the culture of the players. The players themselves, they don't help the referee. Blaming the referees, it's way too easy. Because some players, the slighter the touch is, they're falling apart, like Marega do Porto. He's such a big guy, but as soon as he feels the contact, he falls like a little pussy. And I hate that about players. It's that's why the Premier League is above all the other leagues, because it's so physical and no one is trying to dig ridiculous fouls like that. And when you have Portuguese players going to the Premier League, they struggle for a little while because the referees don't pay attention to them. And they mostly get yellow cards because they're diving all the time. So, Uzonas Piscinas, if you went to the Premier League, it would be fucked.
Just to mention a few, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
From that team specifically. Not to say certain names of a certain wonder kid that's tearing it up, but is also a baby. But anyways, I digress. Chris, you brought up a really good point that I also wanted to get into about this audit that took place. I think you, more than all of us, I'm not too sure about Steph though, but you really went in and did your research. What did you think of the audit?
I definitely think the part that pissed me off the most is obviously the media is going to run with it, and they're going to cherry pick their details to suit their narrative of Bruno Carvalho bad. He's bad. So let me cherry pick some facts here to tell you to see he's bad. Here's one detail or 4 details or whatever. It's super, super long, and there's a lot of info in there. A lot of it's really interesting. Some of the experiments that they ran are super interesting as well. It's not just like facts. They did experiments too, as far as like researching other teams, how much they're paying their coaches, how much their incoming revenue was, and what % of it that they're revenue is going to the coach. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of details in there that are super interesting. One in particular that really pissed me off. It actually is that same list that I was talking about as far as transfer fee and then how much they played to just kind of show the value that they had. And number one is Azbejug. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was a third-string goalie like maybe 3 years ago. He's a third-string goalie between
one of the worst goalies I've ever seen put on a Sporting jersey.
He only put it on one time, so you didn't get to see him that much.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So yeah, it was actually on the cover of, I think it was Ojogu on like their sporting part. It was like, he cost 400,000 euros and he played one game. So that was like to show that he was bad. And it's like, yeah, I guess he was bad, but at the end of the day, $400,000 for a third string goalie, it's not like a ridiculous sum of money. I mean, it's not like they spent $6 million on him and he was terrible, or even if they spent like $2 million on him and he was terrible and never played. He wasn't brought here to play. He was brought here to be a backup goalie, and that's what he did. And he was actually like a third string goalie. So I mean, what do you expect? They're not just. I mean, I guess some you can get on free deals, but you still have to pay their salary. So like that's just like a stupid detail that's kind of taken out of context. Like, oh, worst signing ever. It's like, if your worst signing ever is 400,000 euros, like it's not the end of the world, especially for a reserve keeper. Yeah. I mean, it's actually some of the other things I found really interesting were just kind of the incoming and outcoming transfers. I always knew that we're not spending exorbitant sums of money on players, but it really is pretty incredible that like the 13-14 season, 14-15 season, like our most expensive transfers were like, none of them were over 2 mil. Like one of the summers, I think it was 13-14, Slavchev was our most expensive transfer that summer, and he cost like 1.2 million. I think Ryan Gauld also came that summer. He was like 1.5 million. And it's like, it honestly made me even more impressed by that 15-16 season where we could have been champions, because we really didn't spend that much money. Like, we really didn't. And a lot of the players came from the academy, obviously. The main factors of that team were like Adrian, who, I mean, he wasn't necessarily homegrown from the Sporting Academy, but we bought him when he was young from Academica, and then he kind of got loaned out and stuff, and then he came into his own. João Mario, who did come from the academy, Ruben Semedo, who did come from the academy, Rui Patricio did come from the academy,
William
Slimani, who cost 300K, like that. Entire team revenue, and that how little investment and resources really went into it as far as transfer fees. And yeah, I mean, Baz Dost is number one. He was 11 mil. Wendell's up there with like 8 mil. And even players that you think that, I remember we bought them, like Rostovsky, he cost like 2 mil, and he's like in the top 15 transfers of all time. And it just goes to show you that when we play in Europa League and stuff against these teams like Atletico Madrid, like they really do have like insane spending power over us. And the fact that we hang in there with the budget that we have, and we produce a lot of players and we make good business. We buy players for 1 mil, then we sell them for 12. I mean, it's just really good work overall. And I mean, the media is going to, try to spin it. They'll cherry pick their facts. But I mean, I honestly left that kind of, impressed, if anything, because a lot was done with very little. And, I think that there is something to be said for that. You can't just, we're not, Chelsea, we're just go drop 60 mil on some dude to sit on the bench. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And Steph, what about you? Quick thoughts on the audit as well.
Well, Chrissy summed it up pretty well, and I don't want to
Yeah.
repeat everything he said. So, what he said was just spot on. The only thing I'm going to add on is that why does everybody need to know about our business? That's the only thing that really bothers me. It's
Yeah,
why,
same.
because now you gave leverage to Benfica and Porto, especially in these modalidades. Now they know exactly how much we invested in futsal, in volleyball, in hockey patins. So now, if they want player A, B, C, D, or E from their futsal team, from the hockey patins team or volleyball team, they could make that offer. I don't see why. And then we have Rogério saying, I don't understand how this got out, but it did get out, and we like an open book. I hate that. Our business is our business. It should never come out. Our president saying he doesn't know how it came out. To me, it's bullshit. They know exactly who let it out, and everyone is playing Virgin Mary, and no one is Virgin Mary. And that's the only thing that really upsetted me is I don't see the science of letting the whole universe know our business. It's no one's fucking business. So you keep it to ourselves, and that's it. That got me really upset. Really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was intentionally.
I think so
I think it was
too.
intentionally leaked.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I think it was. I think it was intentionally leaked for the purpose of gaining public support for cutting costs, because they're going to make it seem like the sums that were spent were, not necessary, or, just kind of justifying like, oh, these were like shitty transfers, so like we have to spend less or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely frustrating. And I mean, there is one part in there where they have Porto's and Benfica's total revenue for the 17-18 season, but it's not broken down, obviously, because I don't think that they would have even had access to that. But the difference between getting in the Champions League and not getting in the Champions League, I think, is what
It's
really
huge.
is the difference.
Yeah.
Because we were like 100 million behind Benfica and like 80 million behind Porto, and basically that's the Champions League, because that's 60 mil for getting in the group stage. So
Yep.
if Benfica has 60 mil less and we have 60 mil more, I mean, that's a 120 million euro swing. It's like, if you're consistently in the Champions League every year, you're almost like increasing your revenue by like, a third, 33%. We had 132 total, revenue, incoming, outcoming, everything was net 132. So I mean, if you add 60 mil to that, I mean, that's a very significant amount, and I think that's the difference between having that spending power. And it's not only having that spending power, it's taking it away from one of your two rivals, So I really think that is the difference.
And also don't forget that if you're in the Champions League, you're going to get better sponsors.
True.
Yeah, they'll have to pay more, because now let's
Yeah.
say if I want to invest in Sporting, if I'm Puma, I'll say, you know what, you're in the Liga Europa, I'll give you 5 million instead of 10, because you're only in Liga Europa.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that goes for the shirt sponsor too. You get way more exposure,
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's why some teams, you notice that they have different sponsors for the European competitions, but then they have their same sponsor for the Liga NOS. It's because they specifically negotiated likely a super lucrative deal, because that company only wanted advertisement in the Champions League,
Claro. Pois. Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. All right, guys. There's not really many other talking points. We'll get right into the Twitter questions before Modalidades and the Nacional away game. So, first Twitter question will come. There's a few here from our boy Nuno Gabriel at Cati Valence on Twitter. Steph, I'll give this one to you. Or actually, it's a similar question you answered early. So I'll give this one to Chris, actually. He asks, now with Renan out, thanks to his wonderful red card, should we give Max a shot in goal, or will Salem be the starter? Brackets, which is likely what will happen. So what do you think, Chris?
I agree with Steph. I think that he's going to put Salan in. That's obviously the safe option. I think it will be interesting to see who he brings as the backup. Will he bring Max to likely not play, but get experience traveling and being in the first team? Or will he let Max play for the U23s this weekend and bring Diogo Souza as the backup? I honestly don't even think he's going to bring Max, and I think he's going to bring Diogo Souza as the backup. But I would not be opposed to Max coming as the backup. And, honestly, I wouldn't even mind if he played, but I don't think that is going to happen, unfortunately.
Agreed. And I don't even think he's going to go on the bench because the under-23s play Braga the following day. So,
yeah.
If we played at home, maybe. But since we're going to Madeira, I think it's a tough ask. Anyways, next question from Nuno Gabriel. He asks, after Felipe Luiz's performance the last few games, do you think he deserves to be a starter after Bastos comes back from injury, if he comes back? We sort of already answered that, but Steph, if you want to repeat your answer anyways, what do you think, bro?
Well, me and Chris and I, we basically on the same page. We would let him stay, start the game, and then we'll see how it plays out. If the second half, if he doesn't show any production, then we could sub him from Bastos. But now Bastos, he's got to go and get his place back. But as far as I'm concerned, Luis Felipe, he has earned to start at least the next game against Nacional. And worst case scenario, if he's not producing, then sub him with Bastos.
Yeah, agreed. Next question comes in from Kevin at Kev1 and Rouge 6 on Twitter. He's actually on the comments with us right now. Shout out to you, Kevin. He asks, I have two questions, one slightly irrelevant. What would you say was the best Sporting team ever, and what current players would you put into that team? That's a crazy question. I'll give it to both of you guys, but Steph, I'll go with you first. So what do you think is the best team ever in Sporting? Since you're older than us, you might know more years,
Well, without a question.
Not an old joke though.
No, I know. That's okay. That's fine. I mean, the best Sporting team we ever had was with Cinco Violins. That's when Sporting was at its very high, winning almost every goddamn championship. We won 4 championships in a row. We won Taça das Taças, our only international trophy that we have in our museum. But hey, that Taça das Taças is an official trophy. It's recognized by the UEFA. It's not like a Taça Latina. Our neighbors claim it's an international trophy. That year, they were not even champions of Portugal, and they were invited for that trophy. So our trophy matters. So I would say Cinco Violins. If I could have a couple players back, I would love to see Vox, the center back from the Netherlands. Great center back. I would love to see Vitor Damas as a goalie. I would love to see Manuel Fernandes as a player, not as a commentator. As a player.
já agora o Tiago Fernandes as a ball boy, not as a coach.
I still have a couple. I love to see. What was his name? Agora estou-me a esquecer. O Jordão. He had a lot of finesse playing football. He was an amazing player. You could see how old I am if I remember these names. But this is the players I would love to see. Rosenbach, I liked him too. He had pé de canhão. It's players that you'll never forget. Acosta, I liked him. A lot of Portuguese didn't like him, but that's when he broke the the evil spell that we could win after 18 years with the Costa. And of course, Jardel, he was an amazing player for Sporting. Just to name a few, because I could go on and on. We'll be here for another podcast.
Yeah. Sounds good. How about you, Chris?
I mean, obviously my experience is shorter than that, so I'll just go off of like what I've seen personally.
He's not as old as I am. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean that 2004-2005 team obviously went to some pretty great heights. Obviously they didn't win anything because they bottled everything at the end. But those are still some of my favorite players. Anderson Polga, Liedson.
Sapinto.
Andre Cruz. Oh, yes.
Even Ricardo. I really liked Ricardo.
Yeah, true.
I'd kill to have him in his prime in goal instead of fucking Renan Ribeiro. It's not even close.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, those are some great team that I remember. And even that 15-16 team that should have won the title was a really well put together team. João Mario, Adrian Silva,
Teo Gutierrez.
Teo Slimani. I mean that was a really damn good team. Those are probably some of my two favorite teams.
Yeah.
But now my question to you guys is, and I just want two names for each one of you. It just popped up in my head. So which two players you wouldn't like to see at Sporting at all? Don't matter how good they are. Which two? I'll make it three. Which three players?
Ever?
Sorry, you cut off. I didn't quite hear you.
Ever.
Can you repeat that?
Which three players you don't want to see back at Sporting ever again?
All right. João Moutinho. Maçã podre do caralho. I want to say Rui Patricio, but I kind of I'm not too sure. I did 3 years, so it's kind of hard. I'm trying to think of awful. Oh, that Siani guy that only played for like a game on preseason and then left. He was pretty bad. And André Carrillo.
Yeah, fuck that guy too.
Fuck that guy.
Hey, that's good choices. I like
it. For me, one of my least favorite players of all time. I don't even know if he's still playing or not. I mean, he might be in like the Balkans somewhere. But Simeon Vucevic,
True.
He wasn't even that bad. He just pissed me off like endlessly. He was super annoying. He stole that PK that one time from Matias Fernandes.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, I'd love to have him back too. Like maybe like a couple years ago. Not Matias Fernandes of now. That's back in like Chile, I believe. Who else do I not have fond memories of? Well, I guess it's not just having fond memories, but like wouldn't want them back. I did like Adrian Silva. And there was, rumors of him coming back, but I mean, for what we would have to pay or whatever, and the way he left, I have no interest in bringing him back. And, João Moutinho is a really good shout because, obviously he's great and he's still great even though he's older, but yeah, he's an absolute traitor. And then one more, do you guys remember Deku's brother-in-law, Alexandru?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was like
that guy was shit.
He was like kind of fat.
Yeah.
That was like one of the worst Sporting teams ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, that guy was a fucking nightmare. So I mean, there is no way that guy's playing anymore, even if he's like 30, because he's probably like 250 pounds by now.
Yeah. He's our version of Kleber that Porto have. He's been on the books for Porto for like years. Anyways, next question. Same from Kevin. Oh, sorry, Steph.
Yeah.
My bad.
So
Go ahead.
I would say all the fucking players that we signed with Sporting will make that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these motherfuckers, it's one. They could all die today. I wouldn't feel sorry for them whatsoever, to tell the truth. Then João Moutinho, of course, another piece of shit. Este também pode ir para o caralho. And the other one would be Pangol. Remember Pangol?
Yeah.
Sinama Pangol.
And French. I mean, apparently he played in the French A team once as the ball catcher. Okay, and then I'll say one more. You guys, I'm amazed you guys didn't say Castaños.
Wait, please tell of. Oh yeah, him too.
Ele Deus, caralho. What do you mean?
Castaños.
He must have been the best player in training. I'm convinced. Because in the games, no vi nada. But in training, buddy, who did we fucking shipped off Gelson Dalla and kept fucking Castaños, bro? He had to be sick. Only Peseiro, man. Only Peseiro.
O Castaño era craque em acertar nos cones.
Yeah.
Era corno. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's my choices.
All right. Next question from Kevin. We'll steamroll these next ones. If Quach was to leave, how much would you ask for, and who would you replace him with? Sorry, Chris?
Did you guys see that video that came up of Sinama Pangol a couple months ago of him, like, he's like 31 and he's unsigned. He's like trying
No, I didn't see that.
to get back with a club, of him like doing exercises in his backyard by the pool. Oh, it is so funny. He's like volleying the ball and like in the pool. I'll try to find it and post it on the Twitter account later, because it is hilarious, especially when you consider the context of like who he is and how bad he was. The fact that he's like working out like in his backyard trying to get signed and like posting the shittiest video of all time is so classic. Sounds
good. Sorry. So next question from Kevin. He asked if Quach were to leave, how much would you ask for? So Chris, I'll give that one to you.
I think 20 mil is fair.
Yeah.
And then I think 25 mil is a really good deal if we're gonna add in that maybe like Russian or English league, like inflation rate. But to like most normal teams, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Is a fair
if
deal.
Valencia really do want him, I'd take 20 mil from them as well. Next question for you, Steph. If you're Jovan Cabral and you're getting the treatment he's been receiving recently, why would you stay at Sporting? Ooh, it's a spicy question.
Yeah, because you have a contract. That's why you stay at Sporting. You have a contract, so you have to stay, buddy. No, jokes aside. Well, I don't know what goes on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So I'm pretty sure the coach talks to him. Let's not forget, he got promoted to the A team just last year. So with that said, he's still being called for every game. He makes the squad list. So it ain't that bad of a deal. He's still learning with the veterans. So he's getting the exposure he needs on a daily. It's just not he's not getting a lot of minutes on the official game itself, but he's practicing with the A team. So he's learning a lot from all of his colleagues and the coaching staff. So he knows better than anybody. He should wait until next year and see what goes on. And then next year, of course, if they don't bet on him, maybe he could pressure to leave Sporting. But, I'm sick of that too, though. Like, you have to respect your contracts, and wait until you're sold or somebody's interested in you. And that's the bottom line. But I'm pretty sure that Kaiser likes him, because if he didn't like him, he would be demoted to the under-23 team. So it's just a question of timing. And Kaiser, you could see he likes the veteran players better, the ones with more experience, the one that can handle the pressure a little bit better. Because he's been giving Giovanni a lot of chances, And then every time he gives them chances, he prefers to dribble. And he dribbles the ball and then loses the ball. It looks like he's not learning what the coach is telling him to do. And I think that's why he doesn't start more games because I think he puts his head down and he goes for, and he forgets everything the coach told him, which is look with your head up and then pass the ball and quick touches. I mean, that's what I would tell him. I think he dribbles too much and he loses the ball too much, and that's why he doesn't start as often as he should.
Yeah, agreed. And Steph, I'll pass it off to you. Take us through our modalidades this weekend, bro.
Oh, Steph, back to back. What? I wasn't counting on that. I thought I had a little break. I'm thirsty.
My bad, bro. Take a sip of water. You've earned it.
Yeah, vinho tinto, caralho.
Oh, sorry. Esqueci-me que a tua vida é só putas e vinho verde, man.
I wish.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding.
No, I know you're kidding. So basically, let's go. The sub 15, which is Iniciados, we tied 3-3 against Football Club Porto. It was a great game on Sporting TV. Great game. We were losing the entire game. 1-0, 2-1, 3-1. Then we Joseph did a 3-2, and then our captain tied the game towards the end, 3-3. So that's a good result. Our sub 17 Juvenis, we won 2-0 against Vitória de Guimarães. That's a big win away. They always have a tough team. Then our sub 19, we got spanked. Smashed by Benfica 4-1. I don't know what's going on with the under 19 team, but we're not looking good this year at all because this is not the first time that we lose by a lot of goals. I can remember a couple of weeks ago we lost against Football Club Porto 5-1. So they have to revisit the coaching staff and the scouting department has to. I don't know what's going on because last year the Juvenis we were champions. So I don't know if we lost a lot of players or a lot of players were promoted to the sub 23 team, but our under 19 they look like garbage. I'll call it the way it is. Sporting Aves in sub under 23, we won 4-3 against Aves. What a game again! That was a beautiful game.
Yeah.
7 goals.
Nail biter.
Yeah, you could never complain with 7 goals.
And a special mention to Pedro Mendes, who I think is proving his worth more and more. And I think we should definitely have a look at him, at least in the preseason next season, you know? Sorry, but go ahead.
No, of course. No. I mean, you can interrupt me as many times as you want. So we are in third place with 36 points. Behind Aves in second place, they have 38. And then Rio Ave in first place with 40 points. So if we didn't lose against Rio Ave 2 weeks ago, we would have been at least only 3 points behind instead of 4. So we depend on a lot of factors to win this league. I don't think we will. I think Rio Ave and Aves they will fight among them too, because Rio Ave will play Benfica next, and Benfica they're in last place. They basically promoted too many people to the A squad, and now their team looks like garbage, but not by default. I'm not defending them, but it's just the way it is. And our next game will be against Braga, so another difficult game. And then our senior team, we won 3-1 against Aves. We all know that. Our female team won 2-0 against Valadares. So we're still 2 points behind Sporting Club de Braga. And if I'm not mistaken, there's only 3 games left. If it stays the way it is, Braga in first and us in second, only 2 points apart. The last game, guess what? It's in Braga against Sporting Braga. But the kicker is we will need to win at Braga. And Braga is looking really strong, so we'll have to win. And we have to win by 3 goals, actually. 3 goals. Futsal Seniors, we won 10-2 against Viseu. So we're still in second place behind Benfica just by 2 points. So I think it's going to stay the way it is. But even if Benfica finishes in first place, it doesn't matter because we're going to a playoff mode.
Yeah. And
So,
quickly, Deo also just signed a new contract with their futsal team too, which is really good news.
indeed.
Yeah.
So our ladies in futsal, they finally won 2-0 against Gupilheira. And ball, we didn't play. Okay, in patins, we played only in the youth league. We won in Escolares, which is in school level, 6-4 against Benfica. Juvenil 6-3 away against Passos de Arco. And we lost against Football Club Porto 7-4 in juniors. Volleyball, we got spanked 3-0 against Benfica. I watched the game on TV and I regretted it because we lost pretty bad. The ladies won 3-1 against Praiense. Great victory. Our table tennis, we won 3-2. We won 3-1 against Campeonato de Equipa. No, that's petit. And that's it. That's all I got, guys. Oh, somebody's driving.
Yeah, must be Chris from work,
Okay.
but it's all good.
What's up?
It's all good.
Yeah. So in natação, Sporting became champions again for the 8th year in a row.
Nice.
And
All right.
that's it.
That's it. Thank you a lot, Steph. And now to our last segment. We play Nacional away on Friday, oddly enough. 1 p.m. here in the East Coast, 6 over in Portugal. Chris, take me through your preview and prediction of the Nacional game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're another team that's down in the bottom, struggling. Obviously, we're gonna be so yeah. I for their lives, but yeah, it's super. And for us, who did.
Sorry, you got. Yeah. Sorry, I
Yes,
it kept on cutting off for me. Chris, fine.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Can I hear you? Yes.
Okay, sorry. My internet today
I
is
can hear you guys.
fucking ridiculously stupid. Anyway, Steph, what's your preview and prediction of Nacional, dude?
I think.
Steph?
Yeah. We will win, and I would say I'll say 3-1 against Nacional.
1. I'm also gonna go. I'm gonna go with another with Steph there, a 3-1 win. Simply because Sporting. Although lately we've been able to keep a clean sheet, as for a long time we haven't been able to. So I'll go with a 3-1 win. And before we go off, just because I see Steph in the sorry, not Steph, Josie in the chat. Yo, Josie, hopefully this camera will work soon. Yo, Josie, Leafs, buddy. Sorry, now let's get back to Sporting. Anyways, guys, unless anything else to say.
I got one more thing. Sporting,
go for it, Steph.
Sporting won in football. The Praias beat soccer 11-4 against Marítimo.
Beautiful. All right. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining us for yet another Sporting160EN podcast. Hopefully, the next podcast, my internet won't be retarded, but knowing Mr. Rogers up here, like Steph likes to call it, it probably will. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter as always at Sporting160_EN for the latest updates and
Mr. Roger.
Mr. Roger, you know my internet, bro. What you call that?
How do you call it? Seriously.
It's Rogers. It's just Rogers, yeah.
I thought it was Mr. Rogers.
Technically, technically,
the TV show.
Isn't it a cheeseburger
I know.
place?
It's up here too, yeah.
A cheeseburger place? Man.
Yeah, maybe that's why my internet sucks, you know?
They selling cheeseburgers. You said.
I think so, bro. Fuck, man. Shit's ridiculous. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for joining us. And as always, viva o Sporting.
Sempre, viva o Sporting. Resta a conversa.